Hi, everybody. I'm here a little early, and maybe just explain why. Half day for the kids, so I got to deal with that. And I could just get something off my chest before anyone even gets here. I'm all worked up over this Christopher Yu thing, dude. I knew that kid since he was 5 years old. Whew, man, it's so brutal. So brutal. I had a lot to say about it. Anyways, there's very few things that get me worked up, but this one's got me worked up, dude. This one's got me worked up. All right, so we did the under 1,000 yesterday. Today we're, of course, doing the over 1,000. Should we switch it up today? Let's switch it up. Normally I start from the bottom and work my way up. Let's start from the top. Again, a little bit of apologies. A lot of people might have planned their business. Normally I do this at noon, so apologies for not doing it correctamundo. Opsy says, now, by the way, you see a little thing on the right, and that is because DM Hokie screwed me up. It's DM Hokie's fault. We'll see what his intention is in a second. All right, Opsy says, I just played a 7 round OTB, and after ending up 3.5 out of 7, beating a couple of 2000s, I think it's safe to say that my new German rating, which started very high and then dropped quite a bit, isn't completely exaggerated. So I updated my preferences and will now graduate. Beautiful. And now, hopefully this is going to work out. What we see here, now you know, Kraai. See, look, it looks fine. You don't need this extra thing on the side, boss. Well, okay, so the reason it was like this was we were trying to show the full graduate. See, I want to show I want to show that heat map in addition to everything else, and then DM Hokie doesn't get me the space. You know, he doesn't give me the space to work with. Okay, I have a small improvement I can do with here. I think I can do this. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to, mess with DM Hokie. He doesn't like it when I mess with him, but we're going to mess with him a little bit. And we're going to expand this way, just so we see everything there. And we're going to scooch this way. We're going to get rid of this bad boy. And then we're going to scooch it this way. See, just a little scooch is all you need. So there's a little scooch over here. And does DM Hokie like it? No, but he doesn't like anything. That guy doesn't like anything, you know? So I think we'll just keep it like that for the day. And I'm hoping DM Hokie can fix the layout so I get a little bit more space. You know, I just need a little bit more space. That thing in the corner, he wanted me to do the heat map on the side. That's no bueno. You know, we don't have many fights at the dojo, but we're having one now where the people are insisting, I'm of the minority opinion here, that this heat map should all be one color. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I want to see at a glance with Opsy what he's doing. Right now, I just see where he's done something. With the different colors, I'd be able to see, oh, he did the end game of this, but he did the, tactics this day. Instead, I just get this monochrome thing. What are you doing, Dojo? Let's get it together. All right. So, Leviathan, I'm going to answer your question in just a second. First, though, we're going to check out Opsy here. So, as you can see, Opsy has been here since Dojo 1.0. We're going to get a 1.0 badge for him in a second, too. And has done some beautiful progress. Done well with the tactics. Very well. So that's all encouraging. And let's go first clubs. I assume he's in the German club. Yep. 85 members. We were talking yesterday about people wanting to do their own language. And the club is a cool way to find people where you can do sparring and post-mortem in your own language. And I think the German one is the biggest, dude. The German one is huge. So we got, I think I remember something like 20-some Frenchies. That was a complaint. It was all stemmed from a complaint of the Frenchies. By the way, don't piss the French off, dude. I just read this book on the French Revolution. Don't piss them off, dude. Just be nice, Just want to be nice to them because they can really lose it, dude. Okay, so then we got activity. And we want to go back. This is a very impressive graduation, by the way. Not to say that all, we could argue that all graduations are impressive, but this is the real deal. And he has been doing the work. I like this graph, too. A lot of people think you have to do a lot of openings once you get up to where Opsy is. And look, he's doing 10%. That's fine. That's fine. If anything, I would like him to do more games and analysis. Let's click on tactics, though, just see what's going on. He's doing his mate in twos. I like it a lot. Very nice. And then we got some mate in threes. Perfect. This guy's great. Then let's go middle game strategy. It's beautiful. This guy's doing it. All right. And then let's look at the end game. Bam. Very nice. And he sparred a position, too. I think one of the things about our program that needs a little love is the sparring. I feel like it's hard for people to organize. And so it's left often undone. So I've been doing a little bit with my student. I did some videos that are coming out recently just about the middle game sparring positions and to talk about them a little bit. But very useful and fun thing to do. All right, Opsy, let's see if you got a game, bud. You do. Okay, so let's do this one. This one's from a long time ago. So the first question we're going to have to ask is, did I already look at it? No, I haven't. So next we'll look at the clock times. This is 130 plus 30. I would call this, well, since the most traditional, not the most traditional, but for the last 15 years, the most traditional. I want to show you this time graph here. So one of the things that I'm hoping lower rated players can get a feel for is what a time graph kind of should look like. And this is what it should look like. And you can see, by the way, what do I mean? What we saw a lot in the under 1,000 show is people not using their time. And here you can see some big things were done here, some very big things. And we'll see if how it looks. And also, one of the things I love about this time graph is it tells a story. And it tells a story that both players felt in their opening repertoire up to around move 8 or so. Okay, so now, game review. Let's take a look at this beautiful thing. The people, now Harold, who's talking about about it being psychedelic and stuff, dude. But this is what I imagine. If you looked at mine, I think most people too, you would see a pattern of, like, it would be a pattern of yellow, and then, like, going over your games would be yellow. Green, I think, is tactics. So then you'd see some green. When I did, like, my last couple months would have been green when I was doing that woodpecker book, and then yellow, right? That's what it would look like. It wouldn't be psychedelic, All right, let's get into this. So, oh, Christ. Too late. Started show. Okay, that was my student. He was supposed to get to me earlier. So here we go. E4. All right, knight d2. I think this response is not as common as knight f6 on my level, so I have not actually gone through the chapters in my opening course on this yet. Though I do recall that it's supposed to be the critical response versus knight d2. Okay. Now look at this. What I want you guys to see is the student's playing knight d2 and doesn't even know about c5, and is just going to wing it. And let's see how well they can wing it. So one of the things I really want to stress about openings is, and we'll see if this is proven here, that if you just play with principles, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Okay, good move. Black has many moves here. Knight c6, knight f6. Okay, so here we go. Knight c6, ed, and now he does make an inaccuracy with dc5. During the game, I had a feeling this might not be the most precise, but decided to give it a try anyway, right? So the normal move is bishop b5. And the simple point is by taking on c5, you are giving away a tempo. So you are losing a tempo with d takes c5. Jake also disagrees. I'm the minority opinion here with this heat map thing. It's terrible. Okay, now, next, knight b3. The key part of the struggle that we should now think about is that it's about this square, the blockade square in front of the isolated pawn. And now this move, which I'm not a fan of. Here he's definitely moving too fast, too. And you write, here I was trying to avoid the pin with bishop g4 and at the same time prevent the d4 push right away. However, without many developed pieces, d4 probably isn't scary yet. Also, d4 would be a more positional plan with attacking c2, but it's not actually in line with the king's side attack as it blocks the diagonal. And then he's saying computer likes this being bishop d3. Right. And why do I like it? Because you're developing, buddy. That's why I like it. Now, by the way, I think what's going on is a little bit of a slide. So d takes c5 lost the tempo. Knight f d4 also loses the tempo. Now, I don't know how much hay black can make of this, but let's look. He plays queen f6, which I'm not necessarily a huge fan of. I think knight f6 is the obvious first question. And the problem for black, as I see it, for white, excuse me, is that you can't play bishop d3 because this is hanging. You want to play bishop b3, though. If you play bishop e2, you're not going to be fighting for the e file later, right? Okay, in any case, queen f6, bishop e3, good. Bishop e2, fine. Castles, castles. Computer evaluates this as equal, which is in line with my own evaluation during the game. Now, one thing that's not clear to me is whether Opsi did the analysis and then looked at the computer. Maybe we'll get some sense of it later. One thing that black did was maybe it was her, played the knight to e7, which is just a little less powerful than it would have been on f6. But ideologically, it's correct in the sense that you want to have every piece touching that square. This one, though, is therefore maybe not the smartest because we were touching that d4 square. Okay, queen c1. It doesn't look right. During the game, I thought the knight might go to c4, attacking the e3 bishop and b2 pawn. But in hindsight, I think this is probably unnecessary prophylaxis, as I could have also played something like c3 and played queen c1 if needed. Yeah, good, good. All right, queen c1. Black needs a good move here. Knight c6. Okay. c3, good. Now, one of the problems for black that I can tell you from experience is black is the one who has the need to do something. And what I mean by that is we have the dynamic weakness on d5. We have, therefore, a little more space because of it. And if we fail to do anything active, then white will eventually start playing against our d pawn. Pieces will get traded off. Things will happen. We don't necessarily like them. So black needs to be creative. All right, here we go. Rook e8, knight c2. All right, big challenge now for black in terms of what to do. Black decides on knight g6. And you write, this move really surprised me, as I thought black would like to avoid the bishop trade. As it turns out, the knight coming to f4 in the future is a far more threatening piece than the bishop now. Okay, interesting. So notice Opsy, what you're doing a little bit here, you are obsessed with the trade, but now your knight on c2 is funky, right? And I want to say that I'm with you that ideologically I want bishop c7 because I don't want to trade any pieces. But his knight g6, what's the thought? Yeah. Okay, so knight g6, snip. Trading pieces and doubling his pawns seemed like too good an opportunity to pass up. However, I massively underestimated the power of knight f4. Also, giving me the exchange so easily would have made me more suspicious. And you talk about knight bd4. A bold move, I don't know if it's a good move, but a bold move would have been, I think, to play g3. To try to dominate the knight. Now, black, of course, should be fine. They're up time. They're up time. You know, so we should expect black to be having a fine game anyway. But maybe we need to do something like g3. Bishop takes. Now, then this knight is dominated, and eventually we're going to lose a tempo because we have to deal with a2. And of course, knight f4 is coming, and he's threatening the bishop on e2. Bishop f3. So when you think about this game, Opsy, I want you to realize that, at least from my perspective, it's all about time. Like, you are losing time again and again. All right, knight f4 came. Ooh, no, knight e5. I thought knight f4 also looked pretty good. Here, knight f4, here we go. Queen c2, and now the guy trades and has an idea. Snip, snap, whack. This guy's coming at him. He's coming at him. Look what happens here, man. GH3. By the way, at this point, black has stopped kind of thinking. Rook e2, exclam. Rook b2, exclam. So we're trying to drive the queen off of this square. Boom, and then the game's lost. So let's read what Opsy's conclusions were. Something's up. The opening, even though not the preferred variation was not the problem, gave me an equal position. I did not understand the details of the structure very well. Okay, so Opsy, I feel like you're missing the main takeaway. You're missing that you're losing time, right? So let's talk about the loss of time. Loss of time, right? Loss of time. Loss of time, right? And then bishop b6 is also really a loss of time because now you're going to have to move the bishop, right? All right, let me read the chat because people are going a little crazy. First of all, Jake says, showing all the colors for the daily heat map would be tough since people often target multiple buckets. I want to see it, boss. I want to see it. Kraai just said the Caro-Kann is trash. Why do you? What's at stake for you, buddy? What do you need me to say? Those people are persecuted enough. You don't need me to say anything bad about the Caro-Kann. Oh, Panda Switch. I led the episode with this, you know. I'm really bummed, man. I know this kid, really sweet kid, and all right, I'll give you my first take. Because St. Louis has gotten in trouble before, twice, and it's kind of formed a legalistic framework that they've put down now as a policy. Okay, so the first, they got burned with Ramirez. They were employing that dude. He was doing improper behavior, and the scandal wrecked him. And that was definitely the biggest one. But then, also, they took incredible heat with the Neiman affair, right? With the whole, did he cheat, blah, 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 banning him from the club. And that also set let's call it a policy. How does the club react to certain situations? By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Christopher Yu crumpled up his score sheet and then smacked some kind of female videographer. We don't know how bad the smack was, but he smacked her. And so that forms the basis, the backdrop for why such such extreme punishment was given. And it's not just a punishment to you, it's a punishment to the U.S. Championship, because now it disrupts everything. In general, for example, let's say you're playing a round robin like this one is, and you get sick. Doesn't matter. You continue playing, my friend, because it's such a disruption to the tournament. You don't leave. You feel bad? I'm sorry. You keep playing. That's the way it is. Okay, so it's a disruption also to the tournament. Now, not only are they kicking him out, they're banning him from the club. And they called the police, dude. They called the police. That's taking it up a notch, dude. But as I said, I'm pretty sure this goes back to like their own experiences. Like, we better document everything, right? And why haven't we seen the video yet? I can tell you why. Because now it's considered police evidence. Now, maybe we'll see the video, but that's what I'm telling you. Now that's like police evidence. It's like, it's become streng procedural instead of a very human interaction between people, sometimes people who screw up. Right? Okay, further. I've always been of the opinion that you have to excuse the youth if they're under 18. For example, Naka used to be so horrendous, and if there had been video cameras back in the day, you know, like there are for you in this situation, oh my God, Naka's behavior was so bad, and other, you know, but you're a kid. And, you know, the thing is, kids, this is only something I've learned recently, right? But there's this thing called the prefrontal cortex, and people generally aren't mature until their early 20s. That's why the law, going back forever, has always been kind to kids, you know? They're given a pass, right? But, you know, St. Louis is put in a position that now they're not giving a pass. And it's a hard X. And this kid, like, if this stands, which I don't know how it doesn't stand, because it's the club's decision, then his whole situation is wrecked, dude. It's wrecked forever. Well, I don't know about forever, but for a long time. And it could be worse than the Niemann ban. Niemann's back. He's playing in the club. But they're talking about this is going to go to U.S. chess, maybe banned from U.S. chess, this whole thing. It's like, oh my God, dude. Again, I don't know how bad he smacked this woman. Definitely not going to ban somebody for crumpling the score sheets. Should you crumple the score sheet? No, but, you know, that's basically a miss, you know, especially somebody under 18. I'm not going to say anything bad about it. Further, I know this kid. So you talk about Niemann, that guy, when he was a kid, he was definitely known as a loose cannon. He'd be doing all kinds of crazy things, dude. The parents were scared of him. The kids were scared of him. He was going to do some crazy stuff. But you, man, one of the sweetest kids you'd ever know, man. Oh, man, okay. All right, got off my chest. All right. So let's go back. All right. Let's go over here. 17 asks, but expelling him from the tournament isn't really a St. Louis decision. It's the arbiter. Good question. I know Chris Bird pretty well. Very fair dude, you know. And where it's definitely the club's decision, no, it's going to be a club's decision. You know, does Chris Bird have a primary voice, perhaps? Yes, but it's definitely a club decision. I mean, you're banning somebody from the club. It's not just the tournament. You know, he was tossed from the tournament and the club in quick order, too. It wasn't like there was a lot of deliberation about it. So, all right, here we go. All right. So, first question, we had a question from, Oh my gosh. People are yelling at me. And no, they're not yelling at you, boss. They're not yelling at you. Okay. Kraai, deal with that all later. Deal with all later. Okay. So we had a question, which was from the famous Leviathan. Was he going to be covered today? And I think the answer is no. I'm not seeing you up here, bud. That might be either next week or, and you weren't yesterday. I would have told you I would have remembered, but I could have forgotten that. That's something I can forget. All right, let's do the next one. Also graduating into the illustrious 1819, we have Iuropeda. All right, here we go. Boom. So here we go. And we got somebody who has joined fairly recently. You can see their heat map over here. And so congratulations. That's great. Though their normalized is only 1754. So there might have been some confusion about when they should graduate. Or maybe it's they graduated and then they went down. A little bit hard for me to say. Their tactics test, checkmate test, a little low. A little low. All right, let's go give a look-see about, well, we kind of are doing the look-see, but here we go. Iuropeda is new. That's new. They've already done 18 hours of work, though. Looks mostly good. Are they in any clubs? So Iuropeda, welcome to the dojo. It'd be cool if you showed us maybe a little brief bio. A club would tell us maybe where you are. But we have some games, so we'll have a sense. Now, it's a little confusing that excuse me. I take it all back. I was seeing up here 10-5-23, thinking that was 10-5-24. No, Iuropeda has been with us and has graduated twice. So this is fairly new. Let's take a look. Boom. And first thing we're going to do before we forget, we're going to do that. And then, something horrendous happened, my friends. Let me just show you the horrendo before we get too far into it. What's going on here? What's going on here, Iuropeda? I don't know. Maybe you wiped them out. It looks like maybe you wiped them out. I don't know. Weird. Okay, so now let's switch over to game review and we'll take a look at what happened here. Weird game. I got a very good position from the opening, from Grand Prix. And then there's some kind of terrible, terrible mistake. Let's take a look. So this is the dojo repertoire. Good. Good. And this is known to be good for white. And this is a common thing you get with bishop at, let's say, call it a slightly lower level. And you write, first move I didn't know, but I know it shouldn't be too bad for white for the second order reason I don't recall ever seeing it. First order, I'd say bishop g4, make sure that the bishop gets out, and quite often that bishop is black's problem piece when there's a pawn on c6. However, it isn't going to do much on g4 as nothing can connect with it. Right. Okay, let me put in my words. Black in this position has a lot of problems. And there's no easy way to solve them. But the compensation, the minor bit of compensation they have, is that they have a unopposed bishop. And what white has to be careful of is later in the game, if the game somehow opens up, that bishop could become a terror. So with bishop g4, you are losing that asset. And also h3, and you take, I'll put the queen on f3. Oh, that's a genius. I want that queen on f3. And then I'm ready to play sooner rather than later, f5. Okay, so as long as you do that, you're going to be fine. So here we go, castles. And I like castles. You don't have to play h3 yet. There's no rush. We're going to now see what black decides to do. Queen c7. And you're right. I assume during the game, with the intention to possibly castle long, that would be That would be bold. Which can be annoying when you are so quick with your kingside attack that black's slowness allows them to bring the king to safety. However, I now think it was played with the intention to play e5, but I'm not sure why. 1 second. Hi. Good. I'll just get in my office. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I think, by the way, I've actually had a recent game I covered against GM Novikov in a mildly similar, it was the same Grand Prix, where black was confused about what to do with the knight and therefore delayed it. It's not going to help. It's not going to help delaying it. Okay. So now your first move that I don't quite like, you play queen e1 and you write system move, breaks the pin and moves to infiltrate on the king side. Played quickly and based on the intuition that it also prepares e5 if black decides to stay in the center. Okay, so there's two moves that I think we should consider here. First thing we want to say, okay, is in this system, we always want to be looking for f5. We call this the dream of Federico. We want to play f5 because we want to develop the rook. That's the whole idea. We want to develop the rook, and we need, like, we should think of f4 as like a nice center pawn and all, but really it's in the way of the bishop. So f5 is going to be the move to free both of those pieces. Okay. So if I was just playing a blitz game, I'd play h3 because this would be great. And if they go back, then h3 is useful. Also, it's not clear where they go back to. Now, beyond a blitz game, the other move that's very spicy and interesting is f5. Because then we'll go gf, h3. So now if bishop h5, we take and we're doing great. If takes, I think it's murder. I think it's just murder. And then the question becomes, well, could black take here? And this is where it gets interesting. We have two options. We could play maybe three. Maybe knight e4, actually. Our position's so grand that maybe knight e4. But de4 would be, let's call it the normalish thing to do. But we could also play hg, pawn takes, queen takes, and I don't know, it looks unpleasant for Mr. Black, you know? Looks unpleasant for Mr. Black. Interesting position. However, like I said, the h3 is the simple one. f5 would be the thing to calculate. All right, queen e1. And I still love your position, but now, but yeah, he's going to take, we put the rook there. The rook's kind of cool, but it would be nicer to have the queen there, right? Okay. So this, we're going to accuse you a little bit about dogmatism, right? So they're the ones that have changed things up. And instead of reacting to what they're doing, you're just playing the normal moves. Think of like a London player who always does the exact same things regardless of whatever somebody does. Or that triangle thing, you know, c3, d4, e3. Just plays the same thing all the time. We don't want to fall into that kind of habitual business. Get Kraai off my back. Well, decisive moment. Thank you for joining the chat. I think Freddie Patzer's just, you know, we just have a common joke here. He's not being too serious. But I will yell at people. Some people like it. Other people don't. Okay, so here we go. Bishop f3. I don't think this, by the way, I really am enjoying these annotations. I don't think this move is too bad. By the way, let me tell you right away, Alubeda, your main problem here has nothing to do with what I've been saying. Your main problem is that you're moving too fast. So queen e1, you're just like, system move. I did it, you know? Yeah. So you talk about f5 and other things, and you say, I don't think this move is too bad as e6 isn't possible yet because the knight moves, after which the bishop probably gets trapped. And you talk about f5. Okay. Rook f3. e5. Now that is certainly a very bad move. Now, one of the things where what shows that black doesn't get it, okay, is that this pawn wants to move. We want to move that pawn, and e5 is helping us move that pawn. So I like your f5 move, but we also have to say that this is also a nice advantage for you as well, right? Okay, so f5, good. Knight f6, that's not going to work. Bishop g5, end of the game. Very nice, very nice. And we could chalk this up to another easy win for the easy system. I think he's gone. I think it's gone. You talk about queen e7 here. I mean, he's so toast. So toast. You talk about queen e7 and then like rook h3, but like on any of these moves, don't we just have the banal pop, pop, and snap? Right? That's in my day we used to call that crispy critters. That's what we called it in my day. You know? So I think he's already all the way gone, because you criticize knight d7, but I think, like I said, it's done. Thank you very much. That's one of the mini dreams. One of the mini dreams of Federico the F-pawn. Let's go. What? And you played it so fast, boss. All right, let's read. Oh, man. Okay, let's read. I was absolutely convinced at move 13 that the knight couldn't move away due to this mate. I could not visualize that g8 wasn't occupied after king h7 from a distance. Think longer. Think longer. Think longer. Forget this visualization stuff for a second, you know, because you only spent 30 seconds. You got all this time, bud. You talk about different moves. Rook h3 is the basic one. Yeah. Well, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. So let me also say real quick, what we're seeing, it's good. I think it's good for the low-rated players to see that this happens at a higher level, is that when we're playing online, okay, the quality of thought will often be poor. Right? And it's because we're distracted. There's all kinds of reasons, right? Okay. Whew. Yeah. That was rough. But thank you for the annotation. And I think, you know, very good annotations too. And you spent longer on your much longer on your annotations than you did playing the game. Rough, rough. Next up, let me fix this. We have T-Monks. And T-Monks says, doesn't say anything. T-Monks doesn't say anything. How did he get all these badges? How did he get all these badges, bro? I don't know. Let's give T-Monks a follow. Joined in May of this year. Hasn't done any tests or anything. Doesn't say anything about himself. No clubs. No activity. No games. So we don't know anything about T-Monks. This dude is... Heat map is dead cold. How'd he get all those badges, though, being dead cold? Look. Let me look at the ratings and stuff. I don't know. Let's look over here. He's just graduating again and again and again, dude. I don't know. Okay. No Nintendo. He's a badge completion zealot. Okay, no idea. This is the dude who played for Guns N' Roses right here. Let's take a look. So we also got some badges. Normalized he'd even be above this 1800. Joined in April this year. He's done some tests, just a couple. The tests suggest something is wrong. Maybe just because it's his first test, or maybe, he wasn't feeling good that day. I don't know. Heat map only recently activated. Clubs, nothing. Slash, tell us how it's been after Guns N' Roses. I think it's hard after you leave a band, that's been so successful. And the kids might not even know who Guns N' Roses are anymore, buddy. So I'm sure you might have a hard life, but tell us a little bit about it. So it says they're doing a lot of games and analysis. Hopefully we'll get some games. We got some. We're going to do me versus random guy. Let's try that. This was played a while back. Let's see if I've already done this. Markets review. We don't have times. All right, so we're going to switch it over. Game review. So far, so good. Boom. Queen G4. Yeah. This is in the aggressive repertoire. Nice move. Black plays knight F6. Looks terrible. Queen G7. Rook F8. And now, you're really crushing him. There's no doubt about it. You're definitely crushing him here. D3. Thought of going D4 with tempo on the bishop, but I played cowardly. Now, I agree that D4 is the move, but this, I feel, must be also winning. D5. Now, this bishop G5 may be as controversial here, because the simple thing to do would be to just say thank you very much for your coconut, thank you very much. But when you play bishop G5, bishop E7, and you write from here, various knight takes E5 tricks work since the knight is defending the bishop. So what he's saying is, and this is the problem, that now knight takes D5, which is kind of what I want to do, then I get whacked here. Now, you should still be winning this position. E takes D5, rook G8. Queen H6. So what is the problem? The problem is that our bishop got interrupted. Queen H4, knight D4. Okay. Castles. And now knight F5 comes, and it's truly like a little cold shower is happening here. Okay, so we don't know the times. It'd be interesting. It would be interesting to know if this is an OTB or something like that. And, it's funny how, let me just say in a broader context of things, when we play E4, E5, any E4 or E5 variation, there's so many positions where white is going after something and then gets spanked. And this one's unfair. This one's unfair. Yeah, this one's truly unfair. Now, is it true that we are really in that much trouble already? That's kind of what I want to know. Because castling looks like we're in big trouble after knight F5. Now, you give this variation. And you say, in castles, you say, I think this is the only move, although maybe sacrificing the exchange might have been better. So here's your exchange sacrifice. Oh, this is hot, dude. I think we need to continue from here, honestly. I don't know. It looks really scary. It looks very scary. Holy moly, because d6, he's got bishop g5, bishop e6. Man. Okay. So, let me try one more thing here. So how about knight f3? Can we do that? So on knight f, I was gonna tell you that on knight f5 I can move the queen, but I actually can't, dude. Wait, I can. Knight f5, I can play this move, and my queen is gonna get out. That's kind of magical. Okay, so I think I've dealt with knight f5. If knight f3 gf, I'm happy. So then the only thing I'm really scared about is knight c2. And then, of course, I want that. And I think black should be scared. Do I know exactly what's going on? I do not. In fact, I might be really hosed here with rook g5. Wait, so we can't put the king here. Because look, that's our problem here. Bang, bang. So when this goes down with knight c2, we're going to have to get extra weird and play king e2. Oh my gosh, what a mess. I still believe in white, but, you know, this is obviously pushing what they call the luck. This is what they call the luck. Okay, this is what went down. Castles. Knight f5, and black's playing well. Check. And now I think there's a couple moves that are working here. And you talk about bishop d7, queen a4, rook g5. I think you could also just play king f8. And that's the one that looks correct to Muna to me, but you're right, bishop d7 is also doing the business. We're going to separate you from your coconuts here. Okay, so this is a blunder. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's kind of removed. You don't have to do that with a rook, buddy. You don't need to do that to him. Keeping my material safe with tempo. And now you're killing him. Good chess. That ain't it. Good chess. That ain't it. And now he just falls apart. Okay. So, good game. And I think a really cool thing, first of all, is that when you think about this game, you're going to get similar stuff when you play this variation. Okay, so for example, here at the dojo, we had a guy pioneer the variation knight d4. And it's pretty hot because queen g7, queen f6, snip, snop, and then if my memory serves, this is the only move. And then it goes like here, 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 I believe. And white has the advantage. But you can see, like, there's these variations where black is going to get some development, and we have to be careful. Now, of course, we just believe in white here. Of course. Of course. I do think d4 is better. But here we just, you know, on d5, just take it. Take it, Bowers. Take it. We're killing him. We're murdering this guy. Yeah. That's death. That's death. All right, good. Well done. And that was Slash. Retired now from the band. And, yeah, hopefully we'll get a little bit more games, maybe a little info on what's going on in Slash's life. You know, club maybe, ex-rockers. Okay, good. So, next up we have Seedville, who's graduated a number of times, but there's nothing going on with points, which is weird, because he is active. You can see here the activity map is going on. Yeah. All right. So 1595, very close to graduating again. Playing on Lily Chess. Might have gotten demoted when we had the great rating restructuring. Let's just say that probably happened. Okay. And it's kind of been a little, spotty in terms of logging their business. Clubs. 50 plus. I'm with you, boss. I'm with you. Okay, good. Look at that Adult Improver Dojo, 359 members. Dang. Okay, activity. See, this is something's weird going on. Something weird's going on. They're not logging their business. Do we have some games? No games. So perfect player. I don't know what's happening, but, you're not logging your stuff. You're not putting in some games. I want to know. Maybe there might be something where I just can make a comment. I can scroll on their page and be like, boss, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, I'm still upset about Christopher Yu, dude. All right, let's go back. Corrosive Scarab says, making some pretty good progress with my play. I'm liking that I'm getting more patient, but still get uncomfortable when in positions where the initiative is up for grabs. I am so close to getting those mate in threes done. And Simple Chess is such a great book. Oh, great. Okay. Let's give Corrosive Scarab a click. Actor with a love of labor-intensive games, and here we are. Okay. Look at this guy. 1506. Look at this graph. Look at this chart, my friends. Look at this chart. He's basically active every day, even if it's only 20, 25 minutes. Fantastic. Well, let me tell you, my friends, a lot of people like to listen to podcasts about chess improvement. Not everybody does it. And Corrosive Scarab's doing it. He had some kind of summer vacation. We've seen that at the dojo. I'm telling you, it's just something we've seen. Like the activity at the dojo went down dramatically during the summer. And look at that. It's coming back. Okay, what else do we got? We got some tests. Good. Now, a little bit weird that the tests are not at the same level. So maybe you ran into some difficulty with those tests. All right, clubs. New York City. Yep. I bet that's bigger. I bet there's more people than that over in New York City. Activity. Beautiful. Looking great. Like he said, I think he mentioned Simple Chess. Look at that, bud. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Oh, he's really bringing it. Okay. I like it. And then let's take a look. We got some games here. We got loads. And by the way, if I ever, if you're like waiting for me to cover any of your, if you're in the chat and you want me to cover a specific game, boom, just let me know and I'll cover that game. So here we go. This is Corrosive Scarab. Pop. Okay. So he says they didn't use their time. Let's start off with the time graph there. There we go, friends. There we go. So there it is. Oh, man. Yeah, well, this is very typical of online play. You get somebody who thinks it's a blitz game. Why did they sign up for it? They might have had the intention of thinking. They might have had that intention. But then the little dings and whistles, they were just like, if I don't move right away, I'm gonna fall into looking at Twitter. Fall into it. Okay. So, let's go over here, game review. All right. So, here we go. Fine. And now ET5. You could transpose into the easy system with E5. You took it easy with ED5. Okay. Somebody in the chat was saying something like, this is young man's chess when we're looking up those crazy things from the last games. Like, can we talk about pawn structure and something slow? Well, you might get your wish. Okay, and maybe that's why black moves so fast after ED5. They're like, this isn't chess. Okay, here we go. Check to the miserable king. Okay, good. C4, incorrect. A surprising move to me. Based on my understanding, people avoid closing the center in positions like this because white's pieces will get easier play on the king's side than black's will on the queen's side. It is also controversial because it dumps another tempo. That's right. So bishop e7 for sure, something like that. Okay, so let's see how you played it now. Bishop g5. I definitely want rook e1. And you say, this is another option for the path forward, but I feel like this helps black do something he wants to do anyway, which is develop. Okay, so the problem for black is really we don't want our bishop on e7. We want it on d6, and the reason for that is eventually black is going to need to contest this e file. And you say knight e5 premature. Now, maybe bishop g5 is still going to be okay. But it's curious to me that you call this position equal. Like you said, you've got all the advantages in the position. Okay, let's look at what you did. Bishop g5, knight e5. Okay. This is a move trying to exploit that black's king is still in the center. I feel like any advantage I have is related to my edge in development, and if I allow black to castle peacefully, that edge will slip away. Okay, now here's an important fallacy that you do here. You say bishop d7, more what I was expecting, also I think what he should play, and you say knight d7, where maybe I would have grabbed the bishop pair and played, from there knight d7, bishop f4. I think queen d7 would be the natural move. So when we go queen d7, what I want you to see is black has completely caught up in development and is fine. And when you say grab the bishop pair, you're taking their bad bishop, right? So here's the thing I want to say. I have a course coming out in Chessable, by the way, and they're just taking forever because Chessable takes forever. But it's all about positions like this where your opponent gives you time, and then it's the question of what do we do with that time, right? Here we have multiple moves, but I think just the default should be rook e1, bishop e7, and knight d2. Just develop. Knight e5 at some point, though. We'll play knight e5 at some point. And if I, could think about it longer. The issue with knight e5 is you are encouraging bishop d7. And if that move wasn't there, then I could kind of get behind bishop knight e5. But the problem is now this bishop is in contact with black's miserable piece, and we don't want that, because knight e5 is a threat. If we could somehow just leave the knight there on e5, then I would be okay with knight e5. Okay, so thank you, Dosido. Snip. The move I play felt at the time like translating my lead into development into a permanent tangible weakness. Okay, so you talk about queen a4. Let's look. Bishop d7. Now we say snip. Knight takes. Bishop takes. Now, king takes. Well, we don't need to think about this. This is, of course, what you should have done. This is, of course, if you can get this, my friend, this is what we want. I mean, that's just clearly better. Now, in queen a4, you say that's unclear, and you say this is one option I didn't see in the game. But things get very complicated here. Now, I just want to stress, maybe they do get a little complicated, but it's pretty forcing, and it's a developing move, right? So, snip, snop, and now I want to, now you got a little bit of a question on your hands. Let's see what you do. Queen e2. All right, this is going to get interesting. So, okay, queen e2. I think I can get behind this. And you say that black should play bishop e6. Maybe. But there's a clear problem with bishop e6. when you launch Federico the F-pawn, we got something to say, and I don't know if black has anything to say back. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you could do this as black, but you'd have to do something nasty now, like G6. I just believe in your position here. So Queen E2, maybe this is truly dramatic for black. Maybe. That's an interesting position. For example, Rook B8, we just ignore you. And you can take, and then we slammer dammer you. All right, let's look at black's move, which you don't like. Knight C4, DC, Queen E7. And you're right, the idea behind my previous move. And now the dude plays Queen B2 and goes for it. And that's the one, that's maybe the hardest to appreciate. And you're right, I didn't calculate much on this capture. I assumed intuitively that his queen would become a big enough liability that the resulting position would give white more push than black. I definitely think, I don't know if he's going to live through this, but I would definitely say if I was worried about anything for white, it would be, can he do this to me? Because otherwise, you're just killing him. All right, you talk about Knight D2. Yeah, I understand. I think I understand why you did this, but doesn't Rook E8 mess with you? Opening up the protection on the rook and eyeing Knight C4. All right, so Knight D5 might mess with you too. Don't we have to say that black's now okay? Okay, so maybe Rook E8, but Knight D5 also looks like a burden. Okay, and now you say this is a clear advantage for you. Centralizing my queen to a safe square, protecting my pawn, knight and pawn. Even though the tactical sequence has led to material equality, black's queen is anything but stable. I'll win some useful tempi bullying it around and take the pawn at c6 when it's most convenient. Okay, let's give him a try. It wasn't my first instinct that this was going to be so bad, but maybe it's bad. It's a really interesting position. All right, let's presume first of all that this is correct, Amunda. Okay. Rook AC1. Now, the bummer for black is there's not a lot of squares. Queen D3, Knight E5. Good. Now he goes Queen F5. And you go Bishop D2. And right. I'm very proud of this move. Not necessarily because it is a huge find, but normally I feel like I would be uncomfortable playing such a move. I think it is a sign of my maturing play that I retreat my bishop, playing for positional domination, rather than trying to force something overly muscular like Bishop E7 to work. Oh, that's very well written, by the way. Very well written. Okay, King H8, and you're right. This, I think, is a mistake. The only justification I think of comes if I take C6 with my knight. Okay, so let's talk about it. King H8 is like a trick move. Again, this person didn't think at all. This game, so, they're not thinking about it. It's a trick move trying to deal with Knight E7, but it's a little weird because, hey, boss, first of all, this is defended. Okay, something I wanted to just say. This is my intuition as to why black, I feel, kind of should be okay. Is that we have bishops of opposite color situation. And the pawn, losing the pawn, that's not the end. And it'll come down to a question of if somebody gets the initiative. So, for example, I definitely don't like King H8. What is it? It's a loss of time. my gut would be rook b8, threatening rook b2. Because knight c6, I'm defending the e7 square. I control the light squares. That's why I think this would be kind of hard for white to prove something here. Okay. I do like what is really cool, though, about this position is it's true that you have a very interesting control over the squares, and the black queen does have to kind of roll with the punches here a little bit, right? Okay, so king h8, that wasn't it. You say, thank you for the pawn. f6. Okay. Maybe okay. Knight f3, g4, queen e4, and I couldn't see anything there. Those are definitely a little spicy. Just stare at it for half a second. Yeah, it's still, yeah, g4, queen e4. Knight f3, bishop d7. Now, in general, this doesn't make any sense. The bishop is loose on d7, and it's losing contact with the blockading square. Queen a6, queen d6 looked more natural to me. Queen g6, what is he doing? Playing for tricks. Yep. And now you go here. That might be a really good move. So we're saying bishop h3, knight h4. Or I guess you could play queen g3 too. Improving my bishop, okay. Okay, let me just go back a second. Something to think about here is the extra pawn doesn't mean so much because of the opposite color bishops. And the problem that you need to see is that your knight on f3 is poor. In fact, let's just go back a second. So f6, I don't like, I'm not saying you have that knight c4 is that much better than knight f3. I can't know right away because there's some calculation. But in general, I don't want the knight on f3 because it's dominated by the f6 pawn. Now, this is definitely requiring some like heavy lifting. I don't know. There's rook c8, queen d3, you know, but just bear in mind that this is dominated. The downside of this move is the knight feels dominated. So you're definitely recognizing it. Tricks. Okay, so in this position, does the bishop really on b4, I guess we're saying it's going to c5. I'm just trying to imagine a way here before I even do anything of how do I fix Mr. Knight. I don't really have a great answer yet either. And I don't want to trade queens. Don't want to trade queens. No, 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 no. They don't they don't trade queens. Okay. Now I do like that you simply fix this, and notice black has no understanding of chess at all. They lost their key blockading square. H3, and now they lose the light squares, so no understanding of the game. They give you a passed pawn, and you say, okay, Kraai told me to push it, so let's push it. Queen g4. And threatening to wind the pawn. So something I want you to see about this rook takes h3 is I don't think he's going to be able to get away with it. And then the next thing to see is, do we really want to trade queens? Because that pawn is like a crusher that you got going on there. So if we imagine, for example, queen f4, let's say they trade, and then we go c7. Oh, it's looking pretty good. You know, that rook He's a chump. We're about to do the don't say the nasty cry. You don't have to call it the nasty. Well, it's the nasty. It's also this one too. It's totally brutal. Okay, so I'm not sure this is as winning as I'd like it to be. It still should be winning. I'm just saying it's a little complicated. Maybe King G8 first. Good. A5. So again, no understanding of the game. So Rook C6. And the very sad news that I have to tell you about this position is this one is drawn. And it feels like White is pushing in this position. Thought maybe this gives Black the best opportunity to draw. Now, at this level, and if somebody's playing so fast, you're still going to have great chances to win it. But just in general, you put the Rook behind, it's a draw. And the best way to conceive of it as to why it's a draw is, obviously, it's hard to push this guy up the board. But at some point, if you were going to win the game, you have to bring the king over. And then once you bring the king over, then counterplay starts happening against these bad boys. If you can somehow create a situation where you can stop the counterplay, then you have winning chances. But in general, it's not going to work. I'm going from top to bottom. Benito. All right, good. So C7, dude plays that here. And you say, this is winning, looks winning to me. Did you find the crusher? Bam. This is what this guy deserves for moving so fast. All right, let's stop there. So good game, Corrosive Scarab. I really appreciate, too, that you spent some time annotating and had some really well-written sentences. Okay, that was great. So let's keep going. Next up, we have Trampled Ant. Trampled Ant says, I am new to the dojo. I have not yet fulfilled any tasks. I just created an account on Chess.com, then an account on Dojo. And then I played 10 minutes rapids occasionally for about 2 weeks to find out what rapid Chess.com rating I can reach without much sweat, just to know with which cohort I should start training. Today I decided to finish with casual 10-minute rapids. At last I am subscribed to Dojo and I'm starting to train, playing only long games, either on the internet or OTB. So my first graduation is not really a graduation, but I hope I will really graduate in the future. Well, first of all, Kraai, you need to fix the scene. Okay. So what it sounds like is this person, you don't get to be 1500 without having done some play, right? Let's go click on it. Maybe we'll get a little bit more maybe says something about themselves in the profile. A trampled ant, still fighting and trying to make small steps forward. So it's a very interesting synopsis that he gives himself, where somehow he's gone through chess, and does he have a USCF? Let's see if he's got a USCF. FIDE. Oh, it is. So he's been playing some OTB. He's been playing OTB. Just, yeah. Well, very, very fascinating. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more information as time goes on. No clubs, just joined. Probably no games. No. Okay. Well, Trampled Ant, really interesting story, especially that you've gotten this far without doing, the chess.com. I would say if you've played some OTB in the past, that should be the thing you focus on. And it's interesting you felt compelled to get a Chess.com rating to fit into the dojo. I guess that makes some sense if you felt like your FIDE wasn't correct or something like that. Yeah. So it sounds like you understand the program, though. Like you understand that 10-minute games aren't it. You were just kind of using it to figure out where you are. Okay, good. Let's continue. And next up, we have Unsung Ballad. And Unsung writes, the rating conversion feels a bit weird. I switched to Elite Chess Classical and reached a rating above 1910 relatively easily after my provisional game, but on Chess.com I can imagine I would grind a long way till I reached 1650. I decided to graduate anyway. I guess the important thing is to focus on chess improvement rather than online ratings. One feature I wish the dojo has is to include the lower cohort books in the upper cohort. I'm working on winning chess strategies and modern chess ideas, both books I plan to finish reading, but it's still a bit discouraging when I see the 14-15 cohort does not track the progress of these old books. Okay, so one thing I can tell you is I read, for example, the Woodpecker book, which is in a lower cohort than the one I'm in. But I was able to track it. And what I did, this was on advice from the stream, because I hadn't figured this out, is you go into the other cohort, the old cohort, and you just click on it. And then what it'll do is it'll end up showing up in your list of cohorts. So you can still track your progress that way to do those older books. Not older, but in the lower cohorts. All right, so let's click on Unsung Ballad. In his 30s, too many 15-10s, trying to do 45-45, doing the Dojo Open Classical. Dojo Open Classical, if you're playing online, I think that's definitely the best place to do it. I'm going to guess, well, no, not a guess. Joined beginning of September, and there you see a really nice, how come, by the way, that it's now not showing? God, it's really annoying. I thought before I had it down pretty good, and now it's not showing this at all bueno. I just want to show this here. I don't know how that happened. We need some space, DM Hokey. I need some space. See, he cut my space off. I need some space. Anyways, you can see that Unsung Ballad here joined and has been doing the work. And I'm going to do something annoying here on stream. I'm just going to snip this real quick. I'm just going to snip this and be like, DM Hokey, I got to have this, buddy. I got to have this layout. So we're just going to save this real quick for DM. And I'll deal with that later. Okay, I snipped it. So here we go. Unsung Ballad, graduating numerous times here from Canada, has a lower rating, OTB. Be cool to know where in Canada. I spent some time up there. I consider myself a friend to the Canadians. And all right, good. So maybe someday we can switch to the CFC rating. And this tactics rating's all over the place. Look at that. Okay, clubs. Canada Dojo, there we go. The CFC dojos, yeah. Okay. Activity. Looking good. All right. Now we're going to go games. And here we go. Unsung Ballad. Boom. Blibbabass, what I wonder about logging books in other cohorts is if the time worked still shows in the current cohort. I'm tackling a good few well above my supposed level. Right, my sense is it doesn't show in the current cohort, but if you look at the view where it says all cohorts, then it will show it. My friends, I need something to drink urgently. I will be back. Okay, here we go. This is Unsung Ballad and Roger Bill. Just mark this, and then we got, oh dear. Oh dear. Now, first things first, actually. Check it out. We're playing another chump that's not thinking. It's just one of the million chumps that we play online, and they aren't thinking at all. All right, back to the front. So, we want to destroy these people, of course. Fine. 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 Weird. So, let's just see. You did spend some time on it, right? And unless it works, it's no bueno, right? Okay, so, boom. And the problem with this now, too, is h6 is a hassle in the castle. So, yeah, we need to play h4, honestly. With bishop c4, he hits you with this. And now he should play h6, g5 and mess with you a little bit. However, you're still doing okay. And now you castle, and then, oh, e5 is a very nice move. Yeah, he missed it. You know why he missed it? I'll tell you why. Because he's moving too fast. Because he's moving too fast, that's why. Okay, good. Good. And now knight df3. It is an unrealistic plan for white. Totally relies on black's oversight, and it is not a sound move at all. This move creates fork opportunity for black and will lose a piece eventually. Yeah. So one of the things to say about it is this h6 thing. He didn't appreciate that he could have messed with you earlier, and now it's really going to mess with you, right? One thing I want to stress is the stonewall structure, which you've transposed into, right? This is the stonewall structure here. It can be a really tough nut to crack. And so one thing, first of all, in the annotations is you should say, well, what should I have done? And you're doing great here, right? The first move, of course, that comes to mind is f3. Well, that's a pretty basic move. Or even this move, because you can transfer in and then hit him with the old f3. Okay, so here we go. Knight df3, h6. It's a bummer to lose to these chumps. g5. And then the engine. By the way, this is so cool. This little fish thing, that means that he turned on the engine, and then clicked on the line, and then the line was inserted, and then the little stockfish icon, that's all Dojo, dude. So that's the engine line. Yeah. So one of the things to say about this is we definitely don't want to just collapse. Bishop e4, though, does at least have kind of a trick behind it. Namely, if knight e4, you can play bishop e5. So that's at least kind of a tricky thing that maybe you had in mind. Fe4, and now you take on g5. I mean, obviously it's lost, so what are we going to do? Knight h5. Now this person, I still believe in your chances here because this person is moving so fast. Now, queen g4, I don't know, because he's got e5, and then maybe knight e6 is your intention. At least we should put that as a variation. h4, good. And then you say we're toast. Maybe we are. You played cd5, good try. Queen g5, snip. Oh, queen e4. And then you say, I wanted to keep the queens on the board. But notice, in this position, it's not over. It just isn't over. All right, queen e4. And the guy plays cd5. And now you go rook c6 exclam. Rook c8 exclam. Very nice. Dude, hey, Mr. Roger Bill, if you'd slow down, buddy, maybe this wouldn't have happened to you. That's genius. I really like that move. Boom. And I have a question. Why is it really going to be a draw? I guess it is. Is it really, though? Yeah, we can force a draw. Yeah. And you're right. Even though my opponent's slightly lower rated, I felt lucky I could draw this game. I was ahead in development, but threw away my advantage via wishful attacks without calculating. Great. Okay. So, here's where it started to go awry. And one thing I just want to say for future is to ask yourself what you should have done instead of, say, knight g5. Is it bishop c4? Is it something else, right? Your move, by the way, I don't know if it's that bad. Especially here if you played either, something like h4. Okay. So, good game. And this guy he didn't fully get what he deserved. He deserved to lose. But look at this. Let me show it one more time. Look at this. Boom. Now, have I seen something like this, OTB? It's not really, but I see it so often in the online game. And I want to do this study where I compare online versus OTB and prove it mathematically, but I haven't been able to get the data yet. That's something I'm working on. But I haven't been able to do it. I haven't been able to get the data. Maybe somebody can help me get that data. I wanted to do it by cohort because obviously it's a little different as you go up. All right, let's go back. Where are we now? We're at Benito Rojas. We got 2 more to go. And Benito's been crushing the program. Quick graduation because the rating adjustment sent me just below the cohort cutoff. I have little time this day. I'm focusing on playing at least 1 game a week and analyzing them. That's fine. I've been consistent on the former, not so consistent on the latter. Well, that's not fine, Benito. All right. Let's look at Benito. Yeah. All right. Good. Now, you can see Benito's got a great, has been inactive recently, right? But was active during the summer. And going up pretty good. That's a great graph. Has been doing a little bit of the tests, not so much. Okay, let's see what's going on with the clubs. Right. Beautiful. And then we got activity. Looking good. And I don't know, actually. It's kind of, I feel like not logging all his time. Here he's got only 17. And I think he's got to have done more than 17 when you look at that heat map. All right, Benito, let's see if you got some games. So this was played kind of recently. I might have already looked at this, though, because Benito's been graduating so much recently. No, I haven't done this one yet. Oh, this is the story of our lives, friends. Look at this time graph. Look at that one, buddy. Oh, man, look at that bad boy. All right, so Benito's playing some chump online who hasn't understood that it's not a bullet game. Okay, so boom, boom. My opponent played too quickly, made some mistakes. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay, this is interesting. All right. So here we don't like this move because it's, I was going to say it's a deplorable. That's a deplorable on the side of the board. If you're going to want to attack the bishop, maybe go here. I get it. I guess you want to kill the bishop. Okay. I would be a little concerned about d4 here, but we'll leave that. No, it's fine. Yeah, I'd be concerned about d4 here. d4 concerns me because it would open up onto this point. By the way, just in terms of development, that would be a good move. Now the rook's open, I'm a little worried. And also my e-pawn I'm concerned about. Queen d2. f4. Castles, castles. Knight h6. Knight e7 is a little bit more natural, and now you blow it with knight e4. Okay, Benito. This is a bummer, bud. Yeah. Now you give a long variation where you say white is better here after h3. But black is doing great because they're just all over you here. They got everything going on. At some point, they could play g5. It would have been easier for them to do it if they put their knight in the natural spot. But they're doing great. Okay. Knight e4. Ugh. Queen a5. Blundericious. Check to the miserable king. a3. Now that's a fancy move because most people would just be like, I'm going to take your queen. Now, I want to stress this position. It's kind of hot. It looks like we should be winning, but the reason it's going to be a little complicated is because at some point, dude is going to play f6 and try to undermine our knight. I definitely think this is what we're going to call a loss of a tempo, because this knight wants to be on c6, hitting this square to undermine your knight. So definitely we want to take and then probably do a developing move like bishop d3. Why? I want to prevent f6. Maybe there's something else, but I want you to just see that in general, we want you to develop. Okay, so queen d2. He just loses his mind. Okay, now we're trying to trade. That's fine. Good. Here we want to stress that we really want to open files for the rooks. So that's good. Good. And now you did that. And you say king b1. Absolutely. Why? Because you want to put the rook on c1. Okay, good. Good. Giving you that c file. Good. Good. Little soft, g3. No reason to play that. The rook ec3. There we go. What do we want to do? We want to trade it off. Very good. This guy's a chump. We're going to end it. Goodbye. 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 Okay. So, one of the things to say, Benito, is very obvious. Kind of obvious anyway. And that is, as you get stronger, you're going to play people who are going to start thinking more. And as you get stronger, you should think about playing some games OTB so that they won't do that. And so that you also, like, just think about it. Like, you know, when you play a chump like that, it doesn't really give you the opportunity to be put in a competitive situation where you have to face some stress, right? I'm sure even that was stressful, but you know what I'm saying, right? This person wasn't really giving you everything they had. Okay. Mighty Quinn, you got to put watching the stream as non-dojo work. Next up, we have System Sun. System Sun over here. And System Sun joined us fairly recently. Look at that heat map. We're going to give System Sun a follow. The heat map has been revolutionary for the dojo. I'm the only one who wants to see different colors in there. I'm the only one. So I'm sorry about that. If it changes, it's not going to change. At least I am the minority opinion. I have to convince these chumps. I have to convince these chumps at the dojo that there should be color. They did a mock-up for me about, and I was just like, show me some profiles of what it would look like with the different colors. And they came back to me with this guy who had a different color every day. And then, of course, it looked ridiculous. And they were like, see, Kraai, this is proof. But I think with most people, it would look a little bit like mine. There would be like periods of games and analysis, periods of other things. And if it does look crazy, then that person and me should see it. Be like, oh yeah, you're just all over the place. You need to kind of be dialing in something at a given time. Okay, we got some clubs. Adult Improver, Chess Dads and Moms. Systems, and tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you just joined. Really cool. Welcome to the dojo. Activity. Oh, dude's been doing a lot of endgame. So beautiful. The algorithm, Silman, it's a good place to start. And it looks like they have some games. Let's take a look. We got some. And then these are online games. Boom. Let's give it a look. First, let's just see if we're going to just look at the time graph. There's first the time graph. We're going to say it's reasonable. You know, it only went to move 30, so there's a little bit of time left. Game review. All right. This is this 45 league. Fine. Fine. Before the game, I saw that my opponent usually plays accelerated. I've mostly played Grand Prix, but recently I've been experimenting a little. Okay. So let's take a look. Knight f6, knight c3, knight d4, queen d4, d6. Fine. Bishop e2. Castles. Bishop g5. Right. I think black should play h6, and does it change much? I don't know. You went back to d2. The only good move, you say. I think I'm with you. Bishop d2 is the only good move. Now I think bishop e6 would be black's best, threatening knight d5. Bishop d7. Queen c8. So black is a little bit losing their mind. It's not at all clear about queen c8. It's definitely a loss of time. The rook wants to be on c8. The queen wants to be, say, on c7. Good. That looks soft. Knight d5 would definitely be a very nice position for you. And f3 is definitely also a loss of time. I would say that f3 is the loss of two tempi. One, the one that you're spending unnecessarily, and two, you're probably going to have to play some kind of king h1 later. So you're losing a lot of time. You talk about king h1, maybe. But if you're going to play king h1, I mean, the intention would be something like f4, right? Yeah. Knight d5 looks like just a clear advantage to me. Could go like something like that, and then we'll put the rook on e1. You got other moves too, but f3 isn't it, right? Check. And this guy's a pawn grubber. I don't know about this pawn grubbing right here. Here he goes. Looks poor. Rook b1, queen a3, and we got to believe in rook b7, but you came up with a more spicy move, knight d5. I like it. Very nice. And this shows kind of a tactical awareness, so that's good. And taking the pawn, no bueno. No bueno. Queen a6, and now you took. Now, here's an interesting example of where you, you have the inertia. You had the inertia of like, I'm playing knight d5 to play knight e7. And then when dude plays queen a6, instead of taking, which was probably also one of the things you were thinking about, then you quickly play knight e7. Yeah. So knight c7 definitely stronger. And you come back. I am very happy with my position, you write. I'm a little concerned he's going to live through this one. Knight d5, c d5. Queen d3. Rook b8. I don't like that one. Now maybe he is in big trouble. By the way, this is a very typical kind of situation that can happen in something like the Maroczy bind. It's very interesting because I just want to say when He took on d5. I didn't appreciate that it was going to be so bad. But I think what we can say is that the queen on a6 is very strong as a defender. And so trading it off is in our interest, which is one of the reasons I like knight c7 better than knight e7. Not that we're trading off the queens, but we're, this position I wasn't so certain of. So if you imagine it's black's move here, they should just not play knight takes d5. So the natural move would be, for example, rook ac8. Yeah, rook ac8. There's questions there too. Maybe a move like one of these bad boys too. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. Good. It's remarkably difficult now for black. That isn't it, because now you have rook over. Good move. f5, that's not going to help. Let's sink it. Very good. fe4, that's not going to help. Boom. Very good. All right, so now we need a good move, and you play bishop c3. That's a genius. That's just simple and strong. Bam! Oh, and it's all over. Yeah, very nice. That's what they get. Very, I would say, for me too, very instructive game where knight takes d5 was this one right here. I think he's in big trouble after knight takes d5. And it's one of these things that wasn't immediately apparent to me that he was going to be in such big trouble after that. Mighty Quinn, thank you for subscribing. All right. Clock Goblin says, keep basic heat map simple, but let mouse over a particular day bring up that day's pie chart. Might be visually cleaner, but acknowledged more problems in coding. Right, one option to pacify Jesse could be to let the viewer decide which one they want to see. So, for example, I would want to see the full color heat map because it gives so much more information. But if somebody just, for whatever reason, because there's so many people apparently love this basic one, if they want to see it that way, fine, So maybe we could do that. That could be a compromise. That's our bitter fight within the dojo.